In the 20th century, humanity unlocked the atom's power, capable of both destruction and limitless energy. The Soviet Union saw nuclear power as a path to progress and global prestige. They launched a massive program, building new cities, atomgrads, around nuclear plants. These plants, especially the RBMK-type reactor, symbolized Soviet confidence and ambition. The Chernobyl nuclear power plant, named after a local town, was to be the crown jewel. Construction began in the 1970s in northern Ukraine, a quiet region soon transformed by technology. 4 reactors rose, with 2 more planned, each a marvel of engineering. For workers, it was a chance to be part of history, a leap into a modern, cleaner future. The promise was immense. Energy without coal smoke or fossil fuel limits. But beneath the surface, a hidden flaw lurked in the RBMK design. This flaw, unnoticed and unaddressed, would one day turn the dream of atomic power into a nightmare. The world would soon learn that mastering the atom came with risks as great as its rewards. The stage was set for a disaster that would echo through history. The dream of power was about to face its ultimate test, and the consequences would be felt far beyond the Soviet Union. To serve the Chernobyl plant, the Soviets built Pripyat, a model city for workers and their families. Founded in 1970, Pripyat was designed as a showcase of Soviet modernity: wide avenues, green parks, and well-stocked shops. Life here was privileged compared to much of the USSR. The city was young, vibrant, and optimistic, with an average age of just 26. The power plant on the horizon was a source of pride, not fear. Engineers and technicians from across the Soviet Union came to work here, confident in their mission and technology. On April 25, 1986, Pripyat buzzed with anticipation for May Day celebrations and the opening of a new amusement park. The city's 50,000 residents trusted the giant at their doorstep. They had no reason to suspect that their lives were about to change forever. The plant and the city were inseparable, 2 halves of a single powerful organism. But beneath the surface, danger was building. The people of Pripyat slept soundly, unaware of the invisible threat. In a matter of hours, their home would become uninhabitable. The city's fate was tied to the reactor's core, and the countdown to disaster had already begun. The disaster began with a safety test at Reactor 4, a routine procedure gone wrong. The test aimed to see if the plant's turbines could power cooling pumps during a blackout. Delays left the reactor at a dangerously low, unstable power level. The night shift, less experienced, took over as the test finally began in the early hours of April 26th. To raise power, operators pulled out too many control rods, violating safety rules. At 1:23 a.m., the test started. Cooling water flow dropped and the reactor's fatal design flaw took over. Instead of slowing, the reaction accelerated. Alarms blared as power surged out of control. Operator Leonid Toptunov hit the emergency shutdown, AZ-5. But the flawed control rods triggered a massive spike in power. At January 23, 47, 2 explosions tore the reactor apart. The core was exposed and radioactive material shot into the night sky. The dream of the peaceful atom was shattered in seconds. The world's worst nuclear accident had begun. The consequences would be catastrophic, and the true scale of the disaster was only just unfolding. The RBMK reactor's unique design used graphite to moderate neutrons and water as coolant. This combination created a dangerous positive void coefficient. Less water meant more power, not less. On the night of the test, operators had removed most control rods, leaving the reactor unstable. As cooling water turned to steam, the reaction accelerated, a deadly feedback loop. The final blow came when AZ-5 was pressed. The control rod's graphite tips displaced water, causing a sudden catastrophic power surge. The reactor's output spiked to over 100 times normal. Fuel rods ruptured, and a massive steam explosion blew the 2,000-ton lid off the reactor. Seconds later, a hydrogen explosion scattered burning graphite and nuclear fuel. Fires erupted, and radioactive material was hurled into the atmosphere. The core was open to the world, releasing a deadly plume. The flaw in the heart of the machine had turned a test into a catastrophe. The unleashed force would haunt the world for generations. Chernobyl's secret weakness was now a global disaster. In the chaos after the explosions, confusion and disbelief gripped the control room. Valery Kodemchuk, a pump operator, was killed instantly. His body never recovered. Firefighters, led by Lieutenant Volodymyr Pravik, rushed to the scene, unaware of the invisible danger. They faced flames, rubble, and lethal radiation with no protective gear. Their mission stopped the fire from spreading to other reactors. For hours, they battled blazes, kicking burning graphite from rooftops and inhaling radioactive smoke. Within minutes, many absorbed fatal doses, but they kept fighting. Their skin burned and sickness set in, but they refused to abandon their posts. By dawn, the main fires were out. The plant was saved, but at a terrible cost. 28 firefighters and workers died of acute radiation sickness in the following weeks. Their sacrifice prevented an even greater catastrophe. These were ordinary people thrust into extraordinary circumstances. Their courage stands as a testament to human bravery in the face of the unknown. The price they paid was immense. Their stories are a reminder of the human cost of technological failure. Chernobyl's first responders became its first victims and its first heroes. Their legacy endures in the shadow of the ruined reactor. The world owes them a debt that can never be repaid. As dawn broke, Pripyat's residents noticed smoke and strange lights from the plant. Unaware of the danger, life continued, children played, couples married, and preparations for May Day went on. Radioactive dust settled silently over the city. Soviet officials delayed, downplaying the disaster as radiation levels soared. For 36 hours, Pripyat's people lived in a cloud of poison. Finally, on April 27th, the evacuation order came: pack essentials, leave pets and board the waiting buses. Residents believed they'd return in 3 days. In just hours, Pripyat became a ghost city. Homes, memories, and lives were left behind forever. The buses carried 50,000 people away from everything they knew. The city was abandoned, its fate sealed by the invisible fallout. Pripyat's residents became the world's first nuclear refugees. Their lives were changed in a single day. The silence that followed was the sound of a city erased. The Soviet Union tried to hide the disaster, but radiation knows no borders. Sweden detected high radiation, forcing the Soviets to admit the truth. A radioactive cloud drifted across Europe, contaminating fields and cities. Panic spread. Milk and vegetables were banned, rainwater was feared. Chernobyl shattered trust in nuclear power and fueled global anti-nuclear movements. The world demanded better safety and transparency. The IAEA strengthened oversight, and RBMK reactors were modified. The disaster proved that nuclear accidents anywhere threaten people everywhere. Chernobyl forced a global reckoning with the risks of atomic energy. The lessons were hard, but essential. Transparency and safety became non-negotiable. The world would never look at nuclear power the same way again. Chernobyl's shadow stretched across continents and generations. After the disaster, a vast exclusion zone was created over 2,600 square kilometers, abandoned to nature. Pripyat and dozens of villages became ghost towns, frozen in 1986. With people gone, nature reclaimed the land. Forests grew over roads, wildlife flourished, and rare species returned. Wolves, bison, and even wild horses now roam the zone. The area became an accidental wildlife sanctuary, teeming with life. Yet radiation lingers in soil, plants, and animals, a poisoned paradise. Scientists study the long-term effects, finding mutations but also resilience. The zone is a paradox, a place of tragedy and renewal. It's a living laboratory for understanding nature's adaptability. The legacy is complex loss and rebirth side by side. Chernobyl's wilderness is both a warning and a wonder. Life, against all odds, found a way to return. Nearly 4 decades later, Chernobyl's shadow remains. Reactor 4 is entombed in the new safe confinement, a feat of engineering to contain the danger. Decommissioning continues, a task for generations. The human cost is still unfolding, clear deaths, but long-term health effects are debated. Thyroid cancer rates soared among children. Psychological trauma haunts survivors. Chernobyl is now a destination for dark tourism, raising questions about memory and tragedy. The disaster taught the world about the price of secrecy and hubris. It proved that nuclear accidents have no borders. The empty city and wild forests are a permanent warning. Chernobyl's lesson: respect the power we wield and never forget the cost of failure. The world changed forever in the shadow of Reactor 4. The story endures, a reminder of fragility, responsibility, and hope. Chernobyl's legacy is a lesson for all humanity.